Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And give this video a like up. Bold, and the beautiful sees, Matthew Atkinson, back in town and more determined than ever to keep his parents together. That means trouble for Catherine Kelly Lang. But the question is, how bad will it be? To be fair, the Logans are all conspiring against Rebecca Budig. That includes Donna Logan, Jennifer Garise, Katie Logan, Heather Tom, and Eric Forrester, John McCook, who's an honorary Logan at this point. If you think about it, doesn't Taylor deserve someone in her corner fighting for her as much as Donna, Katie, and Eric are fighting for Brooke? If you think about it that way, then you see that there's a point to bringing Thomas back, especially with Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline Messins Wood, gone, and especially since Ridge Forrester, Thorsten K., continues to waffle in the middle between these two women, just ruining everybody's lives. We have found out more since Thomas came back home to lay out what's going on in his personal life. Honestly, it's no wonder his first stop was to see his mom, Taylor, in her office at the hospital. He needed some comfort too. She and Thomas had a really nice little reunion moment. They caught up, and Taylor told Thomas that her engagement to Ridge. But Thomas still doesn't realize the full extent of how much Ridge is part of the problem, because he's the biggest part. Taylor doesn't realize that either, at least not yet. Brooke def knows, Ridge knows, and the Logans know. Thomas' next stop was to go over and see his dad at Forrester Creations. Thomas was stunned to see Brooke in Ridge's arms, and Thomas wasn't happy about it, which makes sense because as far as he knows, his parents are happily engaged. Then he walks in on what looks like some cheating. Thomas directly asked his daddy if the wedding to Taylor is still on. Thomas told Ridge, "Don't break Taylor's heart again, because the whole family is counting on you." What's whack about that is that Ridge basically reassured Thomas that things are fine and that he's not going to mess up things. It's already happened. We found out more about why Thomas is back in lay because he was telling his dad why he really needs the closure or togetherness of Ridge and Taylor getting married. Part of that is because Thomas' own engagement is off. He and Diamond White are done. Thomas said he and Paris broke up and that her family is trouble, all of them. He's not wrong, especially since her mom, Grace Buckingham, Cassandra Creech, pulled that horrible con on Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton, and Bill Spencer, Don Demont. Plus, Thomas said he and Steffi watched, which is absolutely true. They did like that. They did want it for their mom. So, Thomas was telling Ridge that the whole reason he's back is to make sure Brooke doesn't get her hooks in Ridge and make him hurt Taylor again. Thomas also said after the split from Paris, he just doesn't know what his life is now, what his purpose is. He tells Ridge that he's feeling untethered. He's got no relationship, he's not working on a fashion line on. And his son Douglas Forrester, Henry Joseph Summary, is busy with his friends because he's at that age now. Unfortunately for Ridge, Thomas is hyper-focused on Taylor's happiness. Thomas told Ridge he'd better not trample on Taylor's heart again after she bounced back from the last crisis, which, as we all know, was the broken heart syndrome. Ridge is worried, of course, because Thomas is very intent on making sure Ridge and Taylor get married and Brooke doesn't come between them. After seeing Ridge in Brooke's clutches up at the office, Thomas went to confront Brooke. Again, from Thomas' angle, I do think what he is doing is justified, because his parents are happily engaged. As far as he knows, Ridge did not contradict that, and he saw them in what looked like a cheating situation. So he went in there. Thomas told Brooke, Ridge is marrying Taylor and Brooke better not try and come between them ever again. Katie was surprised. Brooke's jaw dropped. Definitely sounded like the guy we've seen from the past. Dark Thomas. Again though, think about his perspective. Think about what he's seeing. Brooke is seeing this through the lens of she and Ridge are basically reunited already because of what happened there. But that's not the reality for Ridge right now, who's waffling. And definitely not for Taylor. The big question is, should Brooke be afraid of what her former stepson might do to keep Ridge with Taylor and keep their marriage on track to happen? Can Brooke trust that Ridge won't waffle back to Taylor and ignore what happened with them in Italy? I don't know if or not. I could see Thomas plotting and scheming to make sure Brooke doesn't split his parents up. Later, Ridge was telling Eric about Thomas pressing him to marry Taylor. Eric said, "Don't let Thomas tell you what to do." Then it was huge irony because Eric was telling Ridge, "Don't let Thomas tell you what to do. Let me tell you what to do." Ridge realized that and told his dad, "It's the same thing you're doing." But Eric thinks it's okay when he does it, because Eric thinks he knows what's best for Ridge. Now that Thomas is out here looking for a purpose, I think he's going to find it. Defending his mom from Brooke trying to take a man. But there is a red flag about Thomas' behavior that's already sketchy from the moment he returned to Lei. When Taylor told Naomi Matsuda that Thomas is back and doing great now. They touched on his past issues, and Taylor said she would hate for Thomas to have a setback. But if he does, Taylor will be there for him. So B might have been hinting and warning us that plot and go nuts if he finds out Ridge did indeed tell Brooke that he would dump Taylor and get back with her. Thomas going after Brooke to make sure she's not a threat to Taylor's happiness with Ridge. Of course, I'm not suggesting Thomas will physically harm Brooke. That's not his pattern of behavior, like physically hurting her. Never say never, but it's not been his pattern of behavior. I think it's more likely Thomas does something to make Brooke look bad to Ridge. It wouldn't be the first time on Bold and the Beautiful. Years ago, he let Ridge think he and Brooke slept together to discredit her. More recently, Thomas, of course, framed Brooke for that CPS call that Thomas faked using Douglas' voice app. We all know Thomas can be ruthless, vindictive, and dark. With Paris out of his life, and Annika Noel busy with 2 other guys, Thomas has got lots of energy to focus on making sure Brooke won't get in the way. Let's be clear when it comes to Thomas. Yes, Brooke should be very worried. Not just because Thomas might target her directly, like he did in the past with the CPS call, but Brooke should also worry that Thomas could influence Ridge and push him to stick with Taylor. I'm sure Brooke realizes that this is serious, but I don't know if she understands how serious it is for him. I can also picture Thomas conspiring with, especially after the whole heart syndrome crisis. Steffi is going to be furious when she finds out Ridge promised Brooke a future after he fished her out of the water, hot on the heels of Ridge promising Steffi he'd never break Taylor's heart. The big question is, what could Thomas do to get Brooke away from Ridge? What was interesting was when Thomas confronted Ridge, he didn't have the nerve to tell his son he planned to dump Taylor. So honestly, I think Thomas's best case is just to intensify the pressure on Ridge and pile up that guilt. But all of that reminds me of that old Bonnie Raitt song, "I Can't Make You Love Me." That line, "I can't make you love me if you don't." If Ridge doesn't love Taylor the way he loves Brooke, nobody, not even Thomas, can make it happen. But I bet he's going to try.